How's it, GrassHopper? Welcome to my reloading room, simulated range. When you're at the range, always obey the commands of range safety officer. Cold or clear means slides back, magazines out, cylinders open, bolt to the rear, weapon on, safe. And also, do not handle the weapon when people are downrange. Since this is a simulated range, we will not be calling the range hot or cold. For this block of instruction, you will need, of course, you need the targets. You need scope guide, tape, yardstick, and the level. First, we are going to zero the windage at the 25 yards. And this is where the experience comes in. From the get-go, I'm going to bring up from the bottom 30 MOA up, and I'm going to go to the right 20 MOA. If not, you might have to set this target at closer range, like 10 yards or 15 yards. So make sure that the first shot you get on the paper. With the scope 30 MOA up and 20 MOA to the right, we are going to adjust the windage at 25 yards. The main goal is to come within a half to 1 inch within the point of aim. You're also going to fire one round for the adjustments. It's not like where you have to fire a minimum 3 or 5 shot group at 100 yards to adjust. So with the 30 MOA up and 20 MOA to the right, I fired the first shot. It comes to the right. Luckily, it's inside the orange dot. And that's the first shot, so I'll move 1 MOA to the right, 1 MOA to the left, and then I'll fire another shot, and which it comes to the close to the center of the windage center, that is. And then here, since the it's below the half to 1 inch below the point of aim, you could bring the elevation up another 4 MOA. Fire the shot, or you could stop here and go to the next stage, which is 100 yards for elevation. So I'll adjust the 4 MOA and come up here, and I'll fire, and that's within the half to 1 inch of a point of aim. Then I'll stop for the windage adjustment. Reason being is that most high velocity rounds, if it's 0 to 100, it will pass within the half to 3/4, give or take, at the 25 yards. So now we are going to 100 yards for the elevation 0. Now we're at the 100 yards, we are going to elevation 0. So here, as you can see, I have 2 targets. I explain to you this a little bit later. Make sure you replace the one that you used on the 25 yards with the fresh one. At the 100 yards, you make sure that both targets are aligned, and also it is 90 degrees, so that when we are going to adjust for the elevation for longer distance, this comes in handy. Since this is the 100 yards, now we must shoot minimum 3 shots for the group, or 5 shots for a group to adjust the elevation. So now the scope is at 34 MOA up, right 19 MOA. So we are going to shoot three shots. And 3 shots comes real close. So point of aim at the 100 yard is right here. So we have to close to the black. So again, I'm going to raise up about about 1.5 MOA and fire 3 shots. Or make it even 2 MOA, and we're going to fire 3 shots. As you can see, even though it's shooting a little bit to the right, I did not adjust the windage. And all 3 shots are touching inside the black, which is the point of aim. Now you are 0 at 100 yards or meters. write this value down. 36 MOA up, write 19 MOA. Write it down in your notepad somewhere. And the next step, what we're going to do is we are going to kill two birds with the one stone. We are going to make sure that the scope is on there correctly, and also the longer distance adjustments, that shots will be true. To make sure that the scope is on there correctly, not canted left to the right, what we're going to do now is that this is still going to be at 100 yards or meters. What we're going to do is we're going to crank it up 20 MOA. 20 MOA is enough to shoot out to 600 yards and beyond. Now, you are going at the aim at the bottom of the target. You got to remember now, both targets are straight up and down, is perpendicular. So then, with the 20 MOA up, so now the total value on your scope is 56 MOA up, right? 19 MOA. Then you are going to fire three shot group. You found out that you fired, your group is right here. It's a little bit to the right. What this indicates to me is that that scope is canted to the left. And also this target is 18 by 30 inches. So I could only, my experience, I could only adjust up to about 25 MOA. And if you want to adjust 1,000 yard, which 30 MOA will take care of that, then you'll need another bigger target. Set it up at 100 yards, and then do this. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention one thing. You must do this at calm day. Again, you must do this on a calm day. Even though 2-3 mile hour wind or 5 mile wind will move the quarter inch at 100 yards. And that alone, if you shoot long range, you're going to miss the target totally, even about around 600 or 800 yards. So now I found out that my scope is to the left. So now we are going to use a scope guide to correct this. Before using the scope guide, make sure your weapon's cleared. I say again, make sure your weapons are cleared. Now we are going to assemble the scope guide. And the scope guide is nothing more than, in front it has the grid lines. And then the insert that goes to the bore. And then you have a cap, which is comes with the 40 millimeter cap. But if your lens front of the objective lens is bigger than 40 millimeter, then you have to improvise. If not, get a Bushnell bull-sighter, which you saw in my first video. I had this over 23 years, and it still works. So what you do is you put this in the again, make sure your weapon's cleared. I've seen yes, after they adjust and people shoot this front part off. And then what you do is you have to align right now, number one is that you gotta align the grid with the scope's crosshair. So you look through the scope and then adjust. Right now I'm simulating, okay, because it's dark, I can't see it. But if you do out there in the range where you have a lot of sunlight, you could see the grid lines. Only need about real slight adjustment to get the grid lines parallel with the scope. You gotta remember now, this scope was 0 at 100. So that's what I'm trying to do is to put this grid parallel with this scope, crosshair, so that I can fix the canting of my scope. So let's say that my grid line is parallel with my crosshair. Since my shot is to the right, I have to loosen the screws and cant this scope to the right. How much? Just a hair, maybe a thickness of a grid line, and then shoot another 3 shots. You fire 3 shots, and then it came right here. Again, it is not straight perpendicular, so if I had to be perpendicular, it should be right here. So again, do it again. Loosen the screws up. Cant the scope just slightly to adjust, and you fire again 3 shots. And that is your final group. Again, to clear the weapon again, and to put the goodie back in there, align it with the crosshair of the scope. If it's parallel with the scope that you see it, now you are going to loosen the screw up and use blue Loctite. I say again, blue Loctite. And then again, as you screw down the top ring, look through the scope, make sure that it is parallel with the grid. And it's very important that you don't touch this. If you touch this, then you have to re-zero all over again. Once that is done, now your rifle is zero at 100 and also up to 20 MOA, which is about what, 700 yards? Well, mine is about 750. Again, if you want to do a longer range, you could do it, bring it up, make sure you aim at the bottom and also it's a perpendicular, bring it up 30 MOA and make sure it is aligned straight up and down. Then you're good to go to 1,000 yards. Once the scope is fixed, you could go back down 20 MOA and reconfirm the zero at 100. If there's a slight variation, that's fine. Fix it and then do it again. Bring it up 20 MOA up. Aim at the bottom target and to see if that is straight up and down with the last shot group. Then you're done. Thanks for watching. Good shooting and see you next time.